Welcome, Shadow Seekers, to American Shadows, Crimes and Chronicles. Today, we're unearthing a tale that'll haunt your thoughts long after it ends. Whether you're glued to the screen or just listening in, you're in for a wild ride through history's darkest corners. If you're new, hit subscribe to join our mission of exposing America's hidden truths. Regulars, your likes fuel our journey into the unknown. Now, let's peel back the layers of time and reveal the secrets beneath. Ready? Let's begin. The deadliest New York disaster you've never heard of. On the morning of June 15th, 1904, New York City was buzzing with excitement. The congregation of St. Mark's Evangelical Lutheran Church, mostly women and children from the German-American community of the Lower East Side, were eagerly boarding the General Slocum for their 17th annual picnic. This majestic steamboat, painted bright white with ornate decorations, was one of the largest and most popular excursion steamers in the area. Little did these 1,300 passengers know, they were stepping onto a floating death trap. As the Slocum pulled away from the 3rd Street Pier, children laughed and played on the decks while their mothers chatted happily. The band played lively tunes, adding to the festive atmosphere. Captain William Van Schaik, a veteran with 30 years of experience, stood confidently at the helm. But beneath this facade of merriment and competence, a sinister combination of negligence and corruption was about to turn this pleasure cruise into a nightmare. About 30 minutes into the journey, as the Slocum navigated the treacherous waters of the East River's Hell Gate, a young boy noticed smoke coming from a storage compartment. He tried to alert a steward, but was dismissed. This crucial delay would prove fatal. The fire, likely started by a carelessly discarded cigarette, quickly spread through the storage room filled with straw, oily rags, and even fireworks. By the time the crew finally acknowledged the fire, it had already spread rapidly. Panic erupted as passengers realized the dire situation they were in, but the horror was just beginning. As people rushed to don life jackets, they discovered a grim truth. The jackets were useless. Years of neglect had rotted the cork inside, turning potential lifesavers into anchors of death. Those who jumped into the water, believing they'd float, instead sank like stones. The fire hoses, meant to combat such emergencies, crumbled in the crew's hands. Years of disuse had left them brittle and worthless. The lifeboats, which could have been a last resort, were inaccessible, firmly lashed to the deck with wire or even painted in place. In a decision that would haunt him forever, Captain Van Schaik chose not to beach the ship on nearby shores. Instead, he pushed on towards North Brother Island, allowing the fire to spread further and trapping more passengers. The strong currents and wind only fueled the flames, turning the wooden vessel into a floating inferno. The scene on deck was apocalyptic. Mothers, faced with unthinkable choices, threw their children into the churning waters, hoping against hope they'd be saved. Many jumped themselves, their heavy Edwardian dresses dragging them under. The lucky few who could swim faced another peril: the East River's notorious whirlpools and strong currents. As the ship finally beached on North Brother Island, medical staff from the nearby Riverside Hospital rushed to help. The island became a makeshift triage center, with nurses, doctors, and volunteers working tirelessly to treat the injured and comfort the survivors. But for many, it was too late. The final death toll would reach 1,021, leaving a scar on the city that would never fully heal. In the aftermath, investigators uncovered a web of negligence and corruption. The ship's owners had repeatedly ignored safety regulations. Inspectors had been bribed to overlook glaring issues. Captain Van Schaik and several company officials were eventually convicted, but many felt justice was never truly served. Van Schaik was sentenced to 10 years in prison, but was released after serving only 3 years due to public sympathy and his failing health. The disaster devastated the German-American community of the Lower East Side. Entire families were wiped out. The neighborhood, once vibrant with German culture, would never be the same. Funerals were held across the city, with rows of small white coffins serving as a grim reminder of the lives lost. The General Slocum disaster prompted significant changes in maritime safety regulations. Stricter laws were enacted to ensure that safety equipment was maintained and accessible, and that crew members were properly trained in emergency procedures. These reforms were a small solace to the families who had lost loved ones, but they marked a crucial step towards safer travel on America's waterways. Perhaps the most chilling aspect of the General Slocum disaster is how quickly it faded from public memory, overshadowed by larger world events and buried by those who wish to forget. This tragedy became a footnote in history. But for those who lost loved ones, the pain never subsided. For years after, locals would report seeing a ghostly steamship in the East River, echoing with the cries of those lost on that fateful day. Today, memorials and plaques honor the victims, ensuring that the lessons learned from that fateful day continue to resonate. The General Slocum disaster stands as a grim reminder of the consequences of negligence and the importance of safety regulations. It's a story of unthinkable tragedy, of lives cut short, and of a community forever altered. In the annals of American history, it remains one of the deadliest yet least remembered disasters, a shadow that still haunts the waters of New York City. Thank you for joining us on this journey into one of America's forgotten tragedies. If you enjoyed this story, please give us a like and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to American Shadows, Crimes, and Chronicles for more gripping tales from our past. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the shadows of history.